Yeah, so anyway, Dave, I was saying, oh, we're live.
Let's rock.
Hey, everybody, this is Johnny Beane. It's 5:13 p.m. on Friday, February 8th or 8th, however you pronounce that, 2019. And today I'm joined by David Nesdall, right there.
Hello.
Hi, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
Who else? Jay Hannon?
Hi, Johnny, and everybody in the chat room, including Doug. Maybe.
And Tesi Switch.
Hi.
Hey, dude. What's up,
Hey,
man?
guys. Thanks for having me. It's Friday already. I can't believe it.
Is it?
I was starting to wonder if Friday, we hyped it up so much on the last show in the chat. I was wondering if Friday was even going to come. I thought the world might implode at like 4:30 today.
I understand it. I tell you, this week has been the longest week of my life so far.
Oh, it's hilarious. Good times.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, everybody. Everybody, you can see us, right?
Now.
Okay. I'm just making sure because I'm getting things are getting really weird over here.
Now, Rob, were you a wrestling fan back in the 80s?
I would say I was not a hardcore wrestling fan, but I definitely did watch my share of like folding chair bashes.
Okay. Now, the reason I asked this is because one of my favorite Intercontinental champions of all time is the Honky Tonk Man, Johnny Beane. Where did you get that jacket from? It reminds me of something that the Honky Tonk Man would have worn back then. I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm not, because I mean, I wouldn't be able to pull it off, but you look actually pretty sharp in that thing. But I just got to put it out there.
Cool. No, dude, I if you guys would have known me 15 years ago, this was like something I wore every day, all the time. This was like I had like 2 different ones of these.
It was probably that exact one.
Yeah. But now it's a little tight, you know. Look at this. The beard's too big for it now, you know.
If you go downtown in Nashville, there's for every storefront that's not a honky tonk, it's like a clothing store where they just stock shirts exactly like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, this was like something I'd wear on stage all the time. This one and another one that I have.
That's one bitchin' collar you got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll poke some eyes out, man. You better watch your stuff.
You can poke your own eyes out. I've never had a collar that could actually poke my own eyes out.
I can barely hug myself though. This thing's so tight. Oh man. Let's see. Who's Dave? Who do we have in the chat room this evening?
People. Chris, Todd. Yeah. BV Ninja, Brendan.
Butt cheeks.
Thrash Metal. John BL. Craig. Mr. BHB. Lefty Mike. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Hey, Mike. What do you say, Bill?
Clayton James Hicks. Michael Collins. Caleb. Douglas. 802. Amanda. David Ennis. Gypsy Art. Pork Chop SRV. Zach Thong, Vinny 5150. RJD Mad One. And the rest.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Cool. Awesome. Well, hey, do people call you Tesi Switch?
Yeah, you're the only one.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think it's Johnny. This is
Tesi
Johnny.
switch.
Yeah, I saw Johnny at NAMM, and I'm like, hey, it's Johnny Beane. He's like, hey, it's Tesi Switch.
So
Hey,
fun.
Tessie.
Finally, somebody recognizes me.
Can I call you Mr. Switch?
You can call that's Mr. Switch to you. Mr. Switch was my dad, please.
Johnny, it's Rob Welch.
Okay, yeah. No, I know.
It's Ron Welch.
Ron, my wife's grandmother, who passed away
Her
last
name's
year,
Ron?
like 94 years old. She used to write on our Christmas cards for I've been married for 13 years. Every year on the Christmas card, it would say Mr. and Mrs. Rod Welch.
Rod. I
And-
love that name, Rod.
Like our sister-in-law would always go, Grandma, it's not Rod, it's Rob. Oh, what is it? And then she'd write it down. Okay. And then every year it's always the same.
Isn't Rob Welch? Isn't that the name of the of Ricky from Trailer Park Boys? Like his real name in real life, or am I wrong?
I don't even know who that is.
Trailer Park Boys? No.
No, I know. I don't know any of their names. I know who they are.
I think you have the same name, but whatever.
Also the same name as 70s folk troubadour Bob Welch, who had probably a couple of hits that somebody would know. I don't know any of them. And then there was the pitcher from, I think, the A's.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Rob Welch.
Mhm.
That's right.
From the 80s, right? So
I think he was a sidearm pitcher too, wasn't he?
he was I know that for sure he threw a ball toward a guy holding a bat.
Wasn't he a hothead too?
He was a really, like, he would wear a baseball uniform, and then he like had a glove on a hand, and then he would hold a ball, and then he would just huck it at this guy as hard as he could.
So you don't know.
That's all I know about him.
Rob Wells. That's right. Okay. Tom BL, our producer. Wait. Oh, John. Thank you. It's Ron. Rob Wells. Okay.
I'm getting word now. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
What? It's not Rod. Awesome. Well, hey, Rod.
Yeah,
Rob.
Yes. I'll answer
Rob.
it. Whatever. Call me Tessie. Rob. Ron.
Yeah, Tessie is
Jeffrey.
easier.
Tesi switch Rod.
You guys are ruining my brand right now.
That's so messed up. We are, the guest. He's the guest, and he's like an important guy, and we are totally making fun of him.
We.
Yes. All of you.
That just means we like you. It's okay.
Yeah, if you were from New York, I'd be punching your arm.
There you go.
See, your pics even have your name on them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some pics. I'm gonna need a T-shirt. I think I had the idea for the blacked out kill switch.
I think you're gonna need to send him some money.
I mean, I told him I'd send him I call it the stealth kill switch. So
just as soon as he writes you a check, absolutely.
I told him I'd send him one, man. It's the least I could do.
Yeah, after getting all the money, sure.
Dave just wants a cut of it. He's like 15%.
I don't want anything.
15% of what I sell those kill switches for? Sure, you bet. You got it.
I just want you to like my fine tunerless Floyd Rose.
Well, I like it.
Yes, and that's all that matters.
Okay.
I'm sure Johnny likes it too.
Yeah, that's cool. It's
cool. And Brendan's placed a couple orders, and he's going to put those switches on his cigar boxes.
Yep.
That's cool.
Really
wow,
cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We'll have to have Brendan on again soon to show us what he's been working on.
His butt cheeks.
Yeah, we'll have to have butt cheeks on to show us his butt cheeks.
But anyway, Rob, it was great to see you at the NAMM show, man.
Yeah, it was nice to hang out and get to chat a little bit without everybody watching.
Mm-hmm.
You can say what we really felt.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much stuff we can't repeat on here.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't, but I can.
Well, I did catch Johnny stopping himself from swearing a couple of times, like just in person, because he didn't want it to come up. Like he didn't want his. I don't know what happens. Is it like YouTube bans the video, or do they sense? I don't know what happens.
Not anymore. No. Now everything's fine.
Oh, okay.
You can say the F word. You can, yeah.
Okay.
It's true.
Well, say it, Johnny. Say it.
Oh, you could say fart.
Yeah.
Say it, Johnny. Say
Yeah,
it. Say
yeah,
it. Say
yeah.
it. Say it.
One of these days.
Say the word fudge.
Except he didn't say fudge.
He said the word.
Mm-hmm. But what? So you said when we were talking to each other in person, it looked like I wanted to.
No. You had. Can I tell everybody you had Nam face?
What is Nam face?
Nam face is when you have just been walking around nonstop for 2 days.
Oh.
And you've covered like God knows how many miles, and you've seen God knows how many pieces of gear, and you've heard God knows how many people. The thing is, it's not like going to a Guitar Center where everybody plays Enter Sandman over and over. I mean, there's actually like really crazy good players, but you've heard, arpeggiated 30-second notes at 160 beats per minute, literally every 8 steps, and then you get into like where we ran into each other was kind of upstairs in a quiet part of the hall where there wasn't a bunch of gear around.
It was
outside
we were right in front of that piano room, I think.
Yeah.
The piano lounge.
Because nobody. I mean, there was people in there, but it's not the same. I mean, it's not really a piano show, right? Which is why they put them upstairs in that one room. And by the way, kind of a sick joke because they got to haul pianos upstairs. I mean, they have elevators like Fredo Billy, but it's still, you got to haul those pianos. And it's like the least convenient place in the whole convention hall for a piano to go.
Like grand pianos and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah. Grand pianos, everything. They had let me see if I can find it. They had a piano.
It's the top floor. It's the very top floor, basically, of the center.
Yeah.
And it's right in the middle. That's exactly where it is. Actually. So if you want to chill out, it's not a bad place to go into and lay down, I guess.
Yeah,
it's a
great place because there's nothing going on. It was the perfect place for us to like be able to talk for a minute.
There's nobody with long hair in that room.
Not a single one.
Or ripped jeans.
Yeah.
Leather jacket. Honky Tonk Man shirt.
That's right, though, man. I remember I walked right up to you, and you said I looked just exhausted.
Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah, and I kept telling you I wasn't.
But you were lying. All right, so this is one of the pianos that was up in that area.
Why would anyone in God's name buy that?
Great question, Dave. I don't know. Oh, wait, let me turn the volume up. See if you guys can actually hear this because it was amazing. Can you hear it? It was playing itself and singing.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
The video's gonna get. That's worse than swearing.
I don't know. I took the video. I own the video. I can do whatever I want with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't take credit for building a pandiano, a pianda. Well, what would we call that? It's too cool to be split up into 2 words. It's got to be matched together somehow.
Pandano.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like the name of a character that Tony Danza would play in like a new movie, Tony Pandano. Because the first name's got to be Tony.
Uh-huh.
F and Tony.
F and Tony.
Tony Pandano.
Was he in films before he was? If you know what I mean.
I think his break was Taxi.
Yeah, Taxi was his break.
Okay, because I swear I saw him in a movie one time.
He was in a movie with he was the dad, and like She's Out of Control. Was that the name of the movie? and he was the dad, and
from the 80s.
Yeah, it was in the 80s. It was kind of like around the time where like Who's the Boss was really happening. And I'm trying to remember who the girl was. I don't know. Somebody can look it up online. I'm sure that we'll get it in the chat.
John Beale.
Hang on. I'm getting it now. It is, I don't know. I mean, it definitely wasn't Alyssa Milano. I know that. It was someone else.
Where is she now?
I don't
Being
know.
nuts.
Making baby food or children's socks or who knows.
All over Twitter.
Yeah, she's just a lunatic now, but whatever. They all turn into lunatics, I guess.
Okay.
It's like once their careers are over and done, they still have that need to be in the limelight, so they like do whatever it takes to get headlines, you know, even if it's for like something that's crazy.
Like an unintentional crotch shot.
Unintentional. Yeah, whoops. I meant to put on underwear today.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that point yet.
What for you?
I'll probably swear on YouTube before I leak a crotch shot.
Well, I got to tell everybody, you know, I've been talking to Johnny on the phone.
We've been planning this.
No. What I'm saying is like once, like after I came on for the first time, every once in a while we would talk on the phone. And for a little while it was awkward because you wouldn't say much. It was like, I'm talking to the same guy that I see on the show. And he's like identical to what, you know, you're seeing here. And I thought it was the craziest thing. So after a while, kind of Johnny's guard would come down. And now every once in a while, he'll squeak out an F-bomb here and there. He won't admit it, but every once in a while, he'll squeak one out. And I love hearing it. I love hearing it. Jeannie, he just said it. He just said it. You know, I'll pull one of those.
It's like, wow, he just said crap.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Well, hey, you know, next time, the next time all of us are in Anaheim, you know, hopefully next year, we'll have to take a ride somewhere. And if I'm driving,
and curse.
that's all you'll hear is swearing. Because that's when I drive. That's when it is. That's when it happens.
The nervous driver.
Just, you know, yeah.
Are you 2 and 10? Like this, like, and you're right over the step?
No,
I can picture you driving like that.
I'm usually, what's a clock? I'm usually 5.
With what hand?
Just 5. Yeah.
Do you have to look around for a clock to know what one looks like?
Yeah, because I, you know, we're always looking at these things, you know.
Oh.
I ain't driving.
Tesi. See, now I'm calling you Tesi.
Rob, whatever you like.
Some people want to know about the guitars that you have behind you. Those beautiful, beautiful guitars that are on the wall.
Well, I planned out the assortment for tonight, specifically for this crowd, because I figured you guys would all appreciate it. And I'm sorry the lighting's not great, but this is how I had to do it. So off to the far, what is it? Is it your left?
Yep, our left.
When I look back at it. That is an 87 Ibanez Maxis in teal green. It's the first Ibanez that has the all-access neck joint, recessed trem cavity. It actually has like a tremolo stabilizer in it as well, which a lot of the things that they were using in this guitar, which didn't actually make it into like regular production guitars until many years later, because they didn't start doing the all-access neck joint until 91, 93 maybe. So a lot of the things that they started using much later were kind of pioneered with this guitar.
And is the color that you said that is that the actual official color of that guitar? Because that is a very cool color.
It really is. And it's like a pearl. It's like a pearlescent teal. and it's just slick as all get out. This is
Wow.
the body shape was the kind of loosely inspired the S series. It was the first time they did the kind of the angled jack so the cable could come up over your strap.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't done it, go read Ibanez has got a book about it. About kind of like the history of Ibanez, and there's a chapter about the Maxis guitar. I don't know if you can tell from this, but this neck is the thinnest neck I've ever had on any guitar. I mean, it's I don't know.
That looks.
Maybe a half inch. I don't know.
It does.
That looks really thin.
It's really super thin. It's almost uncomfortable. It's 22 fret. They had just started doing this bridge at the time.
Yeah, back then you didn't see a chrome edge.
And then whoever, at some point, somebody who owned it before me put EMGs in it.
Ugh.
You know what? It's not bad, but it doesn't do justice to this guitar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an incredible instrument. So the history of it is basically that Ibanez was really nervous about getting into the metal guitar market. And this was just a little too fast for Ibanez at the time. So they didn't want to just call it Ibanez. They called it Maxis, and then by Ibanez, a division of Ibanez from the head stuff.
Ibanez. Wow.
But it's such a cool, it's a cool logo. It's like a silver applique logo on there. It's a really, really cool guitar. And this one is in amazing shape.
You know, like you said 87, correct?
Yeah.
You know what that reminds me of? Like, considering how guitars looked then, it's almost kind of like when you see like a concept car, you know, and you're like, it thing looks like all this futuristic stuff. And for years and years and years, you don't see any of that technology put in anything. That's almost kind of like what that guitar is. I mean, it looks like a futuristic guitar, considering that's from 87.
They didn't really keep track of how many they made. So I don't think anybody really knows what the production number was, but if they were to estimate, it'd be around, I want to say between 87 and 89 is when they built them. And there might be about 1,200, like 1,200 to 2,000 of them out there. So it's not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
When they were developing this guitar, Steve Vai had just basically announced that he was looking for a guitar company, and what the way the story goes, the way I heard it was that somebody came into the R&D guys and said, we need to get a guitar to Steve Vai and make something that can do this. And he slapped down Flexible, and he made them all listen to Flexible, and said, okay, all the sounds on this record, like all the things with the bar, whatever we build has to be able to do this. At the time, Fender, Gibson, like basically every guitar company was out there trying to get his attention, and rightfully so, because he was basically like the top of the shredder game. Just joined up with David Lee Roth, and they were sending him, you know, the stock stuff, like maybe a high-end Strat, but still it's, you know, an off-the-shelf Strat, maybe a high-end Les Paul, but there's nothing, you know, there was nothing less that Gibson was doing in the mid 80s that was really any different than what they'd ever done, except for not making really great guitars, I think, at the time. So, yeah, so this was, so they took one of these, they painted, you can find photos of it online. In fact, I think maybe even Steve Vai's website has photos of it, but they gave it like this weird, like green and brown and pink, like snakeskin finish. Just made it crazy. And sent it off to him. And yeah, so that's
I think they put a middle pickup in it and put 24 frets on his.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the things, or two of the things that he actually said that he wanted. He wanted the middle pickup, and he did want a two octave neck.
So
I wonder if I'm sure they did, but I wonder if Kramer, you know, if Kramer sent him a guitar. But I could see him kind of saying, you know, hey, Eddie Van Halen is the flagship of Kramer. You know, I kind of want a company that I'm going to be the flagship guitarist for. Obviously, I'm just guessing and throwing that out.
Yeah, but that you know, it's a theory that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because at the time, I mean, think about everybody's like Richie Sambora and Mick Mars and Eddie Van Halen, and just everybody was using Kramer and Ibanez. They're actually. So I've got from '84. This is kind of the evolution. So from '84. This is what they were doing before. So this is the Roadstar. And the guys using this, like Lukather was using this. I don't know. I know there were more, but I couldn't tell you who else they were. But this is a pretty cool one because it had the it's a passive pickup, but then it's got see one of these. It has push pots to split the coils. These are the original pickups, but somebody replaced one of these pots at some point. 24 frets. The bridge is really unique in the sense that they were trying really hard to do a good tremolo, and they almost had it, but they couldn't quite, like, you know, the things that make a Floyd Rose unique and that were basically patented items on a Floyd Rose, they couldn't do. And then that's when they started licensing and doing the Edge. But it's not, you can tell it's not recessed back there.
Do you guys know what that bridge is called? Like the actual name for that, by any chance?
Yes, but I can't. Yeah, it does have a name. I can't remember what it is. Okay. It might be the. Well, I can't. Yeah. Now I don't remember. But when I got this guitar, it had a bunch of parts missing from the bridge, so I had to find the parts.
Was that a pain in the ass?
Yeah, a little bit. It wasn't as bad as you would think, because there's a guy out there who, I don't know if he's machining them or what, but like I had to buy like one of these a couple of these fine tuners, and then I needed. There's this weird this pin here that locks the string into place. It actually is like a long pin that goes all the way down through to the back of the. I don't know if you can see, like, inside there. I don't know, but there's these huge pins back there that come. It's like an acoustic bridge pin almost. It's that kind of length, and then it locks the string in that way.
Buddy of mine has that same exact guitar.
But then you look at how they locked the strings.
Ugh.
Yeah. So they get the nut, and then it locks, like, you know, a little bit behind that. It was a weirdo.
There was a lot of guitars with those systems, like that. And if you're used to a Floyd Rose and how simple a Floyd is, all that other stuff is just a major hassle, because those parts, you unclamp that, and there'll be like two clamps, and you'll undo it, and if you have the guitar at an angle, one of those parts will fall out, and you'll lose it on the floor.
Yeah. And look, this is the way these lock into place. You see, they're just Phillips head screws.
Oh yeah, I do see that. Okay.
That's called the Pro Rockin', the Pro Rocker.
The Pro Rocker, yes.
Pro Rocker. That's what it is.
Anything that has the word pro in it is usually not that good. It's the Pro something. No,
but this was what Ibanez was using for all their top models, for America's top models. No, this was their flagship bridge, if you will.
Well, it seems like there's a lot of metal in that thing.
There is, yeah, but ironically, you know how everybody now today, they want the big brass block. This block, I don't know if it's brass, it's probably steel, but it's a lot thinner than a lot of the blocks that from other brands, and thinner than what they use today, and definitely thinner than what guys are putting on their guitars to fatten up the tone. So Then I've got the floral gem. I've got the vine, the blue vine sparkle gem. I've got the black with the white disappearing pyramids gem.
That's my favorite.
And then I've got an early 60s SG custom shop reissue.
Well, what year is that floral pattern?
That is 91.
Oh man, yeah.
Wait, let me check it.
I'm getting excited now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one too. Of all those Ibanez guitars, that one guitar right there, that was the one that I always liked.
So yeah, this is 91.
So it's got the low pro edge, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe 91 was the first year they did the low pro edge.
Yeah, I don't know, but yes, that's this one with the. It doesn't have the really long string locks on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer this bridge just because it's slick, and I like having the fine tuners back here. I know, I guess Dave Nesdahl's getting off the fine tuner train.
I'm not getting off the fine tuner. I still love him. Dummy up, you.
This has got the big neck heel block on it.
Exact same as this one. Yep.
Yeah.
Does it have the cutaway though, right there?
Yeah. You can't really tell because of the finish, but it does have the little.
Oh, so our guitars were made at the same year. How cute.
Aw. And the only thing that I don't like about this particular bridge on this guitar, I don't have this problem on other of this bridge on other guitars, but the socket for the tremolo arm just gets loose on me, and I go in and I tighten it up every couple of years, and it's fine for a while. But
you try Loctite?
No.
Gotta do it.
I probably should, huh?
Yeah, I had to replace the bushings on my tremolo arm a couple weeks ago, actually, because it was it's getting a little floppy Donecker-ish, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So
they have pills for that.
Yeah. Oh, do they? Well, send me some, Johnny.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, sure.
That's not what that box says back there.
You got to get it. Never mind.
Yeah, it turns a little chewy after a certain age.
It's just a plain brown envelope, you know. They're very discreet.
Discreet, yeah.
And then so there you go.
Wow.
And what year is the blue gem behind you?
The blue gem.
I have an Ibanez year fetish for some reason. Dave always picks up on it.
This was 2002, I guess. I worked for a musician's friend at the time, and we were closing these out. And I think I got it for like $700.
Oh,
brand new. And I put a kill switch in it. I replaced the pick guard with a non-factory pick guard. So there's like a bunch of weird little holes all over the place.
Oh, because you had to
line up. Drill new holes into the guitar, so I drilled holes into the pick guard that matched where the holes were.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see right here. Where is it? The pick guard doesn't quite cover the cavity right there above the pot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There you go.
That, yeah.
And so I need to get an actual gem pick guard to redo this, but this has been sitting in my garage for a long time, and now this guitar, it's like the frets are rusty and the strings are old and the bridge is in really bad shape. So I got a friend sending me some stuff. Well, Lizard Spit, he's sending me some stuff to clean this up, because this was my main guitar for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, you know, when that you have that connection with an instrument that you just have played and played and played, and then for some reason you stop playing it for a while, and Like, it's just sad to me that this guitar, it's like, it's not really playable right now because it's just so, like, it's so rusty. The frets are like, it feels like I'm bending across a beach. It's like, it's so gritty. Although it's in tune, it's still in tune.
Ibanez's have a tendency to do that.
Yep.
They stay in tune no matter what.
How about Nesdal's favorite gem back there?
This one is.
I'm thinking that's also 91 or 92.
This is 91. Oh, I'm sorry. This is 89.
Ooh.
Boeing is right. Low pro bridge.
Mm-hmm.
For you gem fanatics out there, you'll know that they only did 2 models with the oval monkey grip, or if you're German, the Affaloch. So there was this black one, and then the root beer, which was natural and dot inlays. This is the only one they did with rosewood neck and disappearing pyramids.
I love that.
I wonder why they did a gem with the pyramids. That's a universe thing, you know?
The first gems, the Loch Ness green had disappearing pyramids.
Yeah, so does mine.
The yellow, the desert sun yellow, and the shocking pink, they all had disappearing pyramids. Also, they're all maple necks. So
Dutchy 5150 says Vi needs to reissue that gem. I think Vi and Ibanez need to rethink the gem line. Like, you know, they have his signature model, which is the white one with the gold. And I get it, you know, if that's the top of the line one, but they also should, you know, I know they had the 30-year anniversary thing a couple years ago with the green, the yellow, and the pink or whatever. But like, man, it's just, in my opinion, like the Gem Juniors, you know,
it's great for people that don't have the money for the big ones, but you should still make the big ones.
Yep.
Because people with money that want a better guitar want to buy that guitar.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know if for those of you who haven't picked one up, when you pick up, because I had one of the white 555s for a while, and it was a great guitar. It felt good, but when you pick it up, it was like it was so light. And yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm familiar with gems. I mean, there's in my life, there's a few more that I've owned that I don't have anymore. But that when you pick them up, you expect them to feel a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
And the 555s, to me, they just didn't have that. They just didn't feel that way.
Well,
Like
you feel like tours.
It's like driving a Cadillac versus like a Chevy Caprice. Like, you know the difference. Nothing wrong with a Chevy Caprice. It's just you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
Chevy Caprice.
Chances are you're going to get pulled over in a Chevy Caprice, but not a Cadillac.
Well, depends. I mean, are your rims gold? I don't know.
Are they spinning?
Yeah, do they spin? Do they spin when the wheels aren't? That's the question.
Yeah, when you're at the stoplight.
He's spinning right now.
Oh man.
Hey, nice talking to you, Johnny.
Yeah, see ya. Bleh. So Rob, as far as your kill switches, do you have any new ideas coming up, or just I know you I can't even talk now because I'm thinking about something because my brain doesn't work like that. I can't think and talk at the same time. You have now with the lights, the LED lights, when you're switching pickups, the light change, that's friggin' awesome.
Yeah, and I've got a kill switch specifically that does that. That's like this style of, you know, black or stainless steel LED ring. I've got a switch that does that as well. But the one that I've been working on is, it's this one here, where, as you can see, or not, yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
The LED is just shifting through the different colors. It's got the a red, green, and a blue in there, and it's just kind of cycling through them.
That's very cool.
Just automatically. And yeah, it's really cool. I've been kind of struggling with a little bit of a problem. There's you're not gonna be able to hear it, but just there's a very faint noise, like a little whine that comes through as it's cycling through the LED.
Mm. So in a recording situation, that's not.
I would definitely wouldn't use it. Well, I mean, definitely when you're playing, you'd never hear it. I mean, if I don't have the amp up really loud right now, but I can still. I mean, it's just barely there.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you kill it, it's dead quiet, and that noise isn't coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried different things. I've tried different like resistors. I just put a capacitor in there, which seemed to reduce it, but it's not gone. I think the trick, and I think the people that are interested in this switch would want to have a thing where they really just route their wires very carefully inside and maybe keep the wires away from that switch as much as possible. So, and then I've got, usually what I do with my kill switches is I hook it up to where when you plug it in, the light pops on. But on this one, I used a push pot as the on-off switch for the LED.
Oh.
So different choices. And I saw in the chat somebody was asking for a quick demo of the kill switch.
What is that guitar, by the way?
This is like an Indonesian or a Chinese, I don't know, but it's a Jackson Adrian Smith signature.
Okay. Very
Nice. Nice. I got a buddy who's a huge Adrian Smith fan.
You know,
I think he wants that guitar.
for a cheap guitar, it's not bad.
Well, did they make a USA version of that?
They do, yeah. They do. But I think maybe they had like 3 levels. There was like the USA, which was maybe like $2,000 or $2,500.
Yeah.
I think they had a made in Mexico version, which was somewhere in the neighborhood of like $700 or $800, like the Charvels.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, I think, was about $300. So I don't know if
is that a good good bang for your buck, $300 guitar?
It's not bad. I mean, I just had it in pieces. But here, the thing that drives me nuts about these guitars, and it was the same on my Charvel, which I'll show you guys in a minute, but if you want to work on the electronics, you pretty much have to take the neck off, because the pick guard is under, like the fretboard extends about, I don't know, like maybe almost half an inch over the body and over the pick guard. And with the screws that hold the neck pickup in place, you can't like bend the pick guard. You can't like angle it up enough to be able to get it out. So I've had this whole guitar in pieces for the last week, and I just put it back together today. So the downside is that, I mean, the pickups could be replaced. The pot, I replaced the pot with this push pot. It's got the Floyd Rose Special bridge on it, which isn't bad, but the first time I tried to change the strings on it, I stripped out one of the saddles.
Mm-hmm.
So I just bought a whole new set of saddles, and I don't know if these are going to have the same thing, but I decided to get chrome saddles because I just thought it would look kind of cool to contrast it on this guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Having the neck off, I noticed that the pocket wasn't super smooth in there. I mean, it kind of looked like someone had just like made it with a chisel instead of with a CNC machine. It's not bad. I mean, you get everything together, and it's not something that you can see. I mean, if I was the guy at Jackson, like the product manager, and they sent me this guitar, I would just sit down and I'd play it, and then I'd adjust it and get it set up, and I'd go, oh yeah, this is a great feeling guitar. Let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
They sound fine. They sound they play fine. I need to do a little bit more setup and like intonate this guitar. It's not bad, but yeah. So Brandon's saying to try use a higher frequency cap. I put a 10 millifarad cap in there. Microfarad cap in there. I used an industrial, like what you'd use for like high voltage electronics. Like if you're building the Samsung TV, I used one like that. So it did reduce the noise, but it didn't seem to get rid of it completely. So if I may, guys, just really quickly, there's been a couple of suggestions about just what does a kill switch do. So here's the I've got. Let me turn the delay off. Can you hear that?
Yep.
All right. When you press the button, all sound goes away. Kills the signal. So what do you need it for? Well, I think it's just another effect that you add to your arsenal. What do you need a vibrato pedal for? What do you need a phaser pedal for? It's one more thing that can enhance your style, enhance your level of playing a little bit. Yeah, ask Bucket what a kill switch does. Yeah, exactly. I'm probably not as clever with Buckethead with kill switches as Buckethead, because I don't have that kind of skill, and I also don't have a guitar with 2 kill switches on it. But he's using Buckethead uses the big arcade buttons, which are similar to. Sorry, I know I'm hopping around a lot. So, and this is the Charvel guitar. For you guys who follow me on Instagram, Facebook, you've seen this. This is the one where the pickups change. When you change pickups, the LED changes colors, which doesn't make any noise. I've got everything hooked up through DiMarzio Super Switch to control the LEDs on a different circuit than we control the pickups, so they don't really cross pollinate.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but are those the Petrucci pickups?
These are. I don't think they're Petrucci, but they're the DiMarzio Sonic Ecstasy.
Okay, because I think he had those in a guitar that he was using a couple years back. I don't know if they're his or if they're, like you said, they're just a.
I don't think they're signature. I just think they're. At the time, it was the same time that DiMarzio came out with the Vi ones, like the time
Dark
machine.
Matter?
Dark Matter, yes.
Yeah.
They had like the little steampunk clocks in there, which I have a set of those I need to put into something. But so this particular guitar has an arcade button switch, and of course I used the clear one because I got a clear pick guard, but that's the button right there. So the Buckethead guitar, it's not a Tesi switch, but he does use an arcade switch. And the nice thing about the arcade switches is that they're super fast, like a really light touch to them, and they last forever. I mean, this is rated at 10 million hits. So
yeah, good luck. Good luck trying to hit that.
You know what I did, Jay? I did some math because I'm a numbers guy. So I got
How long would it take? How many licks would it take to get to the...
Literally, how many licks?
So yeah. I'll be the wise old owl in this scenario. Okay. Mr. Owl, how many hits will it take? So if you're hitting this button every second for 7.5 months, that's when you'll hit 10 million. But that means every second you're hitting this thing. You're not sleeping. You're not eating. Oh, I don't know. Maybe you can eat while you hit the button because you only need one hand to hit the button. So yeah, 7.5 months. And I guarantee him for a year. But I mean, it's my company. And if somebody blew out their freaking arcade button kill switch, but I'm going to send him a trophy and a replacement switch for free because that's
It's impressive.
That's impressive.
Kudos to you.
They'd have one huge finger.
Maybe. But the arcade buttons, they're actual. I mean, they're designed for arcade systems where kids are just smashing them as hard, mashing the button as hard as they can over and over and over and over and over, and
they don't break.
And they don't break. They don't break. I mean, you're probably going to break the plastic around it before you break the switch mechanism. Again,
you're gonna smash the guitar before you actually break that.
You get a trophy and a replacement if you can bust it just by hitting it with your finger.
You should make like one like huge button that goes on like the back of the guitar or like the side. So when someone goes to smash their guitar,
it just kills the signal.
It can just go like, you know. Yeah.
Okay, so if you can see this, this button here, I'm not flipping you off, but I also am. This is a 24 millimeter, basically like an inch and a half, maybe diameter. You can see compared to a guitar pick here, the size of the switch. You can kind of see it compared to the knob. This is just your standard Strat sized knob. Mm-hmm. I have 24 millimeter. I have 30 millimeter. And in red, I have a 40 millimeter. It's this big around.
My God.
Nobody ever buys the 40 millimeter.
You think?
You also need like that much space to mount it. It's huge. The button is enormous.
That's the kill switch for God.
But if somebody really want, like, let's say you've got a big hollow body guitar where you've got some crazy amount of space. You want to drill a 40 millimeter hole in your guitar to mount a kill switch. I have the kill switch for you.
Would you say the 30 millimeter is the normal video game one?
30 millimeter. Most people buy from me. Most people are buying the 24 millimeter. Mm-hmm. I think most console arcades, like if you go to the pizza place and you're looking to see what they have there, that's probably going to be typically like 30 millimeter, like concave, type of button where it's just kind of a cup in there. Like if you spilled your root beer on there, it would land in the cup.
Yeah.
But the ones that I use are primarily used by guys who are building like fight sticks. So they're buying the joystick and they're buying the buttons and they're building their own and they're wiring everything up and so that size is more common. The 24 millimeter size is more common with those guys. And then for guitar players, you just want to get the 24 millimeter seems to fit in the cavity really nicely. Like if you look, and that's the nice thing about this clear pick guard is you can just kind of see how everything fits. And the 20, like I guess I had a little bit more room to go over like this way if I needed to, and I could fit a 30 millimeter in there, but the 24 millimeter fits in really nicely. And honestly, it's a big enough button where you're not going to miss it. If you go to hit it, you don't miss it.
Now, what size is the EVH kill switch that he has in his signature model?
That one is a 16 millimeter.
Okay.
So
now, if you were to put that switch in place of a tone knob or something, would you have to route anything, or would it go right in?
No, the 16 millimeter is quite a bit bigger than your standard pothole.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd need to ream it out or somehow either put a new hole or make an existing hole bigger. Okay. I do have that same style of switch in a 12 millimeter. So if you have like your standard pot size is a 9 millimeter shaft diameter. Mm-hmm. or if it's like a CTS or a large bore alpha pot, that one's going to be 10 millimeter. So I have some switches that'll drop right into a 10 millimeter hole, but not in the EVH style. The 12 millimeter I've got in the EVH style, and then I've got an 8 millimeter in the EVH style, which is tiny. That's going to drop right through your standard pot hole because it's got a very small lip on it and it needs a pretty precise hole for it to fit through. But yeah.
Now, is there any story about how he decided on the style that he went with?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, we probably all have heard a gazillion EVH stories about how, you know, his personality kind of affects his decision making. I don't doubt that there was probably a big selection of switches that he had put, and I think he does a lot of his guitar work himself. Mm-hmm. So I doubt there was a tech involved, or maybe there was, who knows, but I'll bet there was a lot of switches, and I gotta be honest, man, that particular switch, there's a lot of variation from like factory to factory in those switches. You can find them out there that aren't, you know, a Tesi switch. But I've kind of really dug through a lot of them and found what I think are the best feeling and the best looking switches. So, and I can tell you, there's that particular switch has a really satisfying click to it.
It really does. Yeah, it does. There's something about it. It feels cool. You just feel the feedback and the response, and and you feel the click, like you said. It's just something.
Well, there's nothing else. There's nothing else in my assortment. There's nothing else of stuff that I've looked at and decided not to carry. There's nothing else that has that same kind of tactile response where when you press it down, you know you're pressing it. That click just kind of resonates throughout the switch. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, it's got kind of, I mean, just when it's not hooked up to anything, if you're just holding the switch and you're pressing the button, it kind of has a musicality to the noise that it makes. Mm-hmm. Nothing else does that. The arcade buttons that I have, it's, you know, I mean, it's like dropping a plastic pick on a table. There's nothing to it. And, you know, you don't hear the mechanism actually working. You just hear the two pieces of plastic clacking together. The metal push buttons that I've got, they don't really make kind of much noise at all, but there's, but the tactile, I mean, you press that EVH button and you feel the click, and when it comes back, you feel it click again, and it goes clunk, 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 and but it's this such a cool sound. It's just I could see how anybody would be really like, that would be appealing to anybody, and especially someone who's very tactily motivated like Eddie Van Halen. So
yeah, that might have been a part of it.
If I were to guess, I would say it, because like I say, there's just not another one that feels like that.
Yeah, I did have the signature model for a while, and everything you say is true. The only thing that I didn't like is the placement of it. I mean, if you're taking a guitar and you're doing a dive bomb or something like that, I mean, the tip of the tremolo bar actually clicks down. So if you're doing like, you know, something like that, you're hitting the switch.
Right.
That's one thing that I wasn't a huge fan of, but I mean, you know, what are you going to do? It's Eddie Van Halen's signature guitar, so of course he's going to have it where he wants it. But
so I did an installation for a guy on a Wolfgang, and he wanted the EVH switch, obviously, and I convinced him that we should put it in up where the toggle switch is, the pickup selector switch, and then we move the pickup selector switch down and like replace the tone knob. He was like, yeah, okay, that sounds great. And as I was testing it, when it was all done, and I'm, you know, I mean, if you're going to play Wolfgang and you're going to test the kill switch, you got to play some Eddie Van Halen stuff.
Of course.
Yeah.
So as I'm going up to do like the double-handed tapping, my arm was hitting that kill switch.
Oh,
Oh no.
And I called the guy and I said,
hey, bro, do you do a lot of tapping?
like, yeah, I do a lot. I was like, okay, well, I got some good news and some bad news. The bad news is this switch that I put in there is not going to work for you because you're going to end up hitting it with your arm like all the time for like no reason. So what I did is I just changed it out for one of the metal push buttons, which has a much lower profile. And when you go to do your tapping, you could still do it without inadvertently activating the button
in your guitar.
But yeah, you know, if you want that tactile switch, where the toggles, just for anyone listening, where the toggle switch is not the place to put it.
Because you know what's funny? I remember months ago, maybe even more than that, I was contemplating doing that to that guitar. I was, you know, because I do not use the tone knob. It's always a 10. So I was thinking, like, you know, I have a buddy who put a kill switch where the tone knob is, and he ended up moving it because it was just so far away, you could never use it. You know, every time you're thinking about using it, you have to, like, you know, completely adjust where your hands are, and next thing you know, you can't get back to playing guitar. So I was like, man, I'll put the switch where the toggle is, and then I'll put the toggle where the tone knob is. And now that you're saying it, I'm like, wow, I don't think I could do that.
Well, it just depends on what kind of switch you want to put there. If you want the stealth switch.
No, if it's an Eddie Van Halen guitar, it's got to be the Eddie Van Halen switch, man.
I mean, I agree. Although I've go to my website and look at the gallery. There's a bunch of Wolfgangs out there that have some of the LED ring push buttons in there. It doesn't suck, man. They look really, especially when you get some of the, like, the quilt tops and the different colors. I love it when people match the color of their guitar with the LED. It's just really beautiful.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those guitars too. They do look good. They do look really good.
John BL says, Jay, you need to start playing with your tone knob. I've been playing guitar a while, and some people use their tone knobs to get certain. Mine is always opened up, man. I never use my tone knob for anything.
Well, the thing is, you know, when you use as much distortion as you use, tone knob is useless. You may as well just not even have one.
Yeah,
it's really
that's
cleaner sounds, or a lot less distortion. It'll probably work a little bit better, but you wouldn't be able to really hear a difference with all that distortion anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, if I can't get a certain sound out of my different pickups, you know, that's what I change pickups for. It's like, you know, or I'll change a patch, you know, I'll change the sound of my amp, or I'll do certain things here and there. But I don't, you know, especially in a recording situation, if you think about it, right? I mean, once you start moving the tone knob for stuff, you got to remember where you had it, and you got to put a piece of tape over it to make sure it doesn't move. Because if you have to re-record something and your tone knob was at 7.5 and you didn't get it it turns into a big pain in the butt. So I leave mine full blast. And, you know, if I had my own signature guitar, custom guitar, tone knob delete right off. I don't want it.
And that's what I've been telling a lot of people who say, well, where should I put the kill switch? You know, if you don't use your tone knob, yank it out of there, because it does two things. First of all, it reduces the amount of resistance that's going between your pickups and your output jack, so it will actually give you a little bit more volume. Ooh. And then it takes the possibility of you know, accidentally messing with your tone knob while you're playing, or, you know, if you don't use it and you don't care, then just get it out of there.
Well, how often do you guys see, like, I've always had a habit of it as well. You know, you watch a guitar player play live, and what are they always doing? They're touching their knobs to make, and it's almost like a tick that all guitar players have, or most guitar players have, where we're constantly checking our knobs to make sure they're
all the way up.
They're up, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a knob to worry about.
Or just adjusting the volume, you know, taking the volume up and down. You know.
Yeah, but for me, if I want to like cut my amount of input gain by reducing the volume on the instrument, I'll usually have a volume pedal that I use for that, because for me it's a little easier to control the angle of the pedal versus making sure, like, paying attention to right where my volume knob is at. And if you have those low friction pots, like the Yngwie pots are super low friction, so if you like breathe on them, they move. The vibration of the guitar will turn them down, or like if you play a certain way, and like when you're on the upstroke when you're picking, you know, you just hit it just a tiny little bit. I mean, I can't tell you how many times at a gig I'm playing and I'm wondering, man, what's happened to my tone? What's going on here? And then you know, like Jay says, and then I turn my volume knob back up and go, oh, there it was. Like,
Yeah,
I had no idea, 'cause I didn't turn it down.
yeah, somebody turned the fan on, and now my volume's at 7.
Right.
So the Yngwie low friction pots are less friction than the EVH ones.
Same. They're the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, because how can you get more low friction? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just what it is. The Yngwie ones, the EVH ones, there's no, you know, I mean, they say low friction, but it's kind of no friction. I mean, they just kind of, it's like a ball bearing, and they'd spin if they didn't stop.
Now, how do you guys feel about those? Because I remember when I first played an EVH guitar, I wasn't sure about it, and then after messing with it for a while and playing, I actually like the low friction volume.
Me too. I'd rather have it low friction than high friction.
Yeah.
Like the pot on this guitar is very tight, and I've even used D5 on it, and it's still very greasy on the inside. It's tight, and I hate that. It's also dirty.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I think that if you're one of those guys who uses the volume knob, you know, Eddie uses the volume knob a lot in Yngwie too, to change the dynamics of the guitar. You know, he's not changing channels a bunch on the amp, because he likes to have that clean and then roll it into like a high gain distortion, and the best way to do that is just the volume pot on your guitar.
Yeah.
And you can play and you can finesse it with your pinky, and you don't have, you know, the high friction ones, it's difficult, not impossible, but it's difficult to do that smoothly. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense for those types of players to have a low friction. It's not for me. I can't, you know, I don't have probably the mental control to really be able to pull that off very well.
Well, the one thing is that I feel like the spot that the EVH volume knob is, the way the bottom of my hand goes, I feel like it would benefit me if it was a little bit farther down. But you know, what are you going to do?
Well, you know that the likelihood that Eddie agonized over the exact placement of those pots,
Yeah,
pretty high.
Well, right? He has the benefit of, hey, make me, you know, 15 different guitars with a volume knob in a different spot, and he gets to choose it. You know, I'm stuck with whatever, you know, companies are selling. So
if I had to guess, I would say it was more like he gets one and he goes, "Oh man, you know what? Just move this like 4 millimeters to the left."
Yeah. Yep.
No, okay, that's just fine. But move like 1 millimeter more to the right.
Yep. And they're gonna say no? Of course not.
No, they're not.
One funny thing is, remember when he was when he moved to PV, and didn't he say at one point, like before the guitar was finished or whatever, saying that the final model is not going to have a tone knob?
No, I think they said it. He said it was going to have a tone knob.
I thought he had said they want the tone knob, but it's my guitar, my name's on it, and I'm going to be the one deciding that. And then it ended up coming out with the tone knob. I just always thought that was kind of funny, where he initially, from what I remember, I mean, of course I could be wrong, but
because they said if you want a guitar that's going to sell, put a tone knob on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, the short-sightedness of product managers. You know, when you're talking about a signature instrument. I mean, how many guys have modded their guitars and yanked the tone knob out because Eddie Van Halen doesn't need one? What do I need one for?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I've always used the tone knob.
In fact, Johnny wants more than one.
I use them all.
All of your tone knobs, all of them.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
the Strat will have the 2 volumes. He wants the 2 tones.
That's right. It's a volume, a tone, and a tone volume. So you can turn your tone louder and lower when you want.
Mm-hmm.
So do you actually like just to take the top off? I mean, as like a virtual like low pass filter or something?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to set it up that way with just you know, just using the right capacitors and routing it. You know, like think about what Fender does with the 2 tone knobs. One of them is kind of a high, and or you can set it up to where one of them's kind of a high and one of them's kind of a lower. You know, with a passive circuit. But do you guys remember the X tone? I don't know if they even still make that, but it's basically there was a tone knob where it wouldn't just like take all the high end out. It would actually shift the frequency, so you could, like, if you were, while you were playing, if you were running that knob back and forth, it would kind of sound like a wah pedal.
Ooh,
I vaguely remember that.
so that sounds more useful to me than making my guitar sounds like it has, you know, 12-year-old strings on it.
Right.
Johnny, I'd figure, you know, with the age that you let your strings go, you'd want that tone knob out of there.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds dead enough.
He doesn't even change his strings after he breaks strings.
Mm-hmm.
He ties them back together and tightens it back up.
Yeah, that's what I used to do.
And he feels, you know,
years ago,
when you break a string and you especially if it's like an unwound string, you wind it back in, and then you feel the gunk from each fret, you know, between the frets now on that string.
Yeah, I used to do that because when I first started using the Floyd Rose, you know, I thought that was a trick. I thought you don't trim the strings at the top. You just leave them all, you know, hanging out, and then every time you break the string, you just clip where you broke it and you just pull it back and put it back in. You know?
Well, you do that on the fly, you know, like if you're at a gig and you need that guitar right away, that's what you do. But, you know, once you're done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always used to leave a ton of windings on my peg so that I could fix a broken string at a gig.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Boner jams. Thank you, man. Kick out the boner jams.
I haven't asked Brian, aka Boner Jams, how his PGM Ibanez is.
I bet you he hasn't played it more than once or twice.
Maybe 3 times. Yeah, Rob, our friend Boner Jams, he bought one of Dave's friends, 89, is it?
Yeah, in 89.
Paul Gilbert, the blue and pink, which is one of my favorite Ibanez guitars.
Nice. Yeah, I love that one.
And it was in great condition.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones.
Yep. That's one guy. It's weird. It's like, you know, Paul Gilbert is obviously like a phenomenal musician, guitar player, you know, one of the best. But to see him now, you know, like his guitars don't have a Floyd or anything. It's just weird. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I didn't put it on the wall tonight, but I have a Fireman sitting over in my other room, and
cool.
Don't those have like pretty thick necks on them too?
Yeah, it feels like it's not quite as thick as like a 50s Les Paul, but yeah, it's a pretty substantial neck. But I don't know if it's the fretboard radius, which isn't flat, you know, it's got some curvature to it, or just the size of the neck, or because the way the body style is in the neck, you know, it's like a reverse Iceman, and I've always thought the Icemans felt like the necks were really long on them.
Mm-hmm.
But the Fireman, it still feels like it has a really long neck, but it's balanced really well, and it plays really well. And those pickups, man, those pickups are bizonkers. They're so good.
Really?
So I was going to test out some amplifiers at this place in Calabasas, California, and it was this place where basically it was a one of those private dealer type places where they basically had like every vintage guitar you could possibly ever hope to imagine that any place would have.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't a store. You couldn't go in there without an appointment. It was basically like an office somewhere. And so I brought a Fireman guitar with me, and these guys are going, all right, well, you can choose any one of these guitars, you know, like a early 60s SG or like a 59 Les. I mean, they had everything. A ton of old Gretches, and like, hey, what, you know, check this amp out and play, you know, grab any guitar that you want. And I says, oh, well, I brought mine, if you don't mind. And you know, all those Fireman guitars are made in Korea. They don't make any of them in Japan.
Wow.
And even the one that Paul plays is made in Korea. It's basically the production guitar. This is his guitar. And so I pull it out, and they kind of looked at it like, because it's kind of a weird shape, and if you're not an Ibanez guy, then you don't necessarily, or if you're not a Paul Gilbert guy, maybe you don't know what it is.
Did they think you were a lefty for a split second? You know?
No, but they thought I was like slumming it pretty hardcore, because like, here's all these guitars that are basically worth more than most of our houses combined.
Yeah.
And here I am with this, you know, $899 Korean Ibanez. and I plugged it in, and you know, like I could just see the look on their face. They're like, okay. And then I started playing, and everyone just kind of went, wait, what's that guitar again? Tell me about that guitar. This pickups are so stratty, but then you put it in position like 2 and 4, and it just chunks right up. I mean, in my opinion, it's the injector pickups in the bridge and the neck, and like an area 69 in the middle. Like one of the best pickup combinations in any guitar at any time. I've used that guitar on so many gigs and so many recordings, and I've blown people's nips off with just the overall like palette of that guitar is incredible. And it's made like even the corkiest of cork sniffers like kind of double back and go, wait a minute, tell me about this little tale. Tell me a little bit more about this. So
wow.
Yeah.
So it has the DiMarzio injector pickups, huh? I'll have to look those up.
Yeah.
It's just strange though. Like Gilbert went from playing like basically his early version of his guitar was like an RG.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about it, like with the old Ibanez bridge, and then you know a thin neck, an RG neck, and now he's playing a baseball bat. Just strange.
Really not though. It's really not that. It's not as big as you think. You know, I don't know. I mean, even a lot of Gibsons these days are not as big as you think.
Yeah, I mean the 50s ones are really huge, I think, but the modern ones they're you know, like and then the 60s were the really, really thin ones. But I think these days it's kind of like a really nice compromise between, you know, that big fat one, which, you know, arguably is what generated a lot of the tone that you get out of the guitars, and then the playability of the thin ones in the 60s, but it's kind of a good mixture.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing is I've played a lot of original 58, 59, and 60 Les Pauls. The 59s, you know, the reissues are way bigger than the original guitars. All those original guitars never had humongous necks. They never did. They had, I mean, they were larger than Ibanez necks, but they were never, ever as fat as the reissues. You know, none of them. Even the fattest real 58, 59 neck was still not as fat as a reissue neck. And it's, you know, it just boggles my mind why they do that now.
You know,
I mean, in the past couple of years, they've gotten better. They've gotten them to feel a lot more like the originals, but still not there. It's still too big.
Yeah. The biggest neck I've ever felt on a guitar was the Jeff Beck Fender Signature.
Yeah, that and
like a P-bass neck with six guitar strings on it.
Also the Jeff Beck
Whoa.
Les Paul, the Oxblood Les Paul, that has a huge neck on it. Huge. Not great. Crazy.
And now they're talking about batting averages in the chat. Oh, it's Zach's batting average. Okay.
And nipples.
And nipples.
And GTV Guitar TV is giving me crap because I didn't contact him when I was at the horror convention in Atlanta a few weeks ago getting the flu. You know, it's a good thing you didn't hang out with me because you might be sick right now.
Well, you know, you should have contacted him and given him a big kiss on the mouth so he'd get sick.
Ugh.
Make you gay, but you know, he'd get sick.
Jesus.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Come on, I haven't said 5 words this whole program. You know I had to say something.
And that's how the show got banned.
Yeah. Enjoy this, everybody, because this is the last one.
It's going to be the last one. I'm so honored.
Yeah.
We just blame you, though. Rob came on, so it was our last show because it must have been him. Must have been him.
Must have been.
Now, the problem is before the show, I was watching All in the Family. So I've got Archie Bunkerhead right now.
You just hate everybody.
You watch that every day, huh?
No,
at that same time. Because the other day before we went live, you were sitting there watching it. I remember.
Yeah, it happened to be on, but I don't watch it every day. I don't have the TV on every day.
What do you mean it happened to be on? Is it reruns?
It's on at 7:30. Yeah, it's on at 7:30. Rerun.
Okay. See, I don't watch TV. I have Hulu and YouTube, and basically I just watch whatever garbage is. You know what I like to do is I'll find the crappiest sci-fi movie on Netflix, and I'll watch about 3/4 of it until I just can't handle it anymore, and then I'll watch whatever it suggests for me to watch next.
Well, usually the end of those is where it gets really, really bad. It's like
why
you're like, all right, I can see what this is kind of cool, and then the end is just like, oh my god, what did they just do? Why would they? So if you still watch the end of them, I can see how, you know.
Had it ever been in a theater, people would have booed, right?
Yeah.
So that's about 5 movies in. About 5 movies into this, you have to watch the whole thing, and you'll watch a movie that should never have been made in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll do that. I'll watch that stuff on YouTube all the time. Just the weirdest what do you call it? I'll look up a certain director or whatever and like a certain style of film and find the stuff on YouTube and watch them. And it could be a lot of times they'll be made like in France, but they're dubbed in English or something, you know?
Oh, those are the best ones.
And yeah, in the movies, they're so bad. They're actually good.
Yeah, so bad it's good. It's like,
but it's the same thing where, you know, you're wasting 2 hours of your life if you watch the whole thing. Just skip to the last 10 minutes of it, and you'll be like, "What? That makes no sense." And so you have to go back and watch the whole thing, and you'll fall asleep for a while, you know. But
a lot of some of those movies that we're talking about, they have these stupid twists in them.
I couldn't even tell you the names of these movies I've seen. I've seen so many movies, the names, I can't remember them at all. And I want to watch them again, but I have no clue of what they were.
Well, some of the movies that we're talking about, I think, like when you watch them and you're like, what were you think? A lot of times it's the story of they're doing this movie and they want to do something so different because everything's been done, so they don't want to do the tried and true whatever the hell's the story is or the twist is. So they kind of want to throw something from left field. And sometimes you got to give them credit. Like, all right, that was terrible, but at least they went away from, what you were expecting. But most of the time it turns out for crap, and it ruins the movie.
I like the ones where the twist you can see coming about 3 or 4 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, basically
It's
when you
always
get like
the first person they interview in all those cop shows and like it's always the first person that they think it is, or they see, or they go to their house to ask questions. It's always the first person that they didn't really think it was them, but they just had to interview somebody.
right.
And then they come back later on and it ends up being them. You're like, it's the first guy you talk to.
Listen, we're just asking questions. You're not a suspect. Hey, did you notice the head in his fridge? No. That's not who cares?
Yep. Yeah, Jeannie watches that what's that one show, man? With the dude with the long hair, he's like the dork, and they got the bald-headed
CSI.
cop. Huh?
CSI.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like she'll be watching those, and I'll just be viewing from the other room or whatever, and it always seems like it's like that. It's like something will happen at and they'll interview the guy at the counter at the hotel, and at the time it's like he's just the hotel worker. But he's the one who does it, He's the one at the end of the show, they find out it's him.
Yeah, the one that was, wearing the wig, in the dark. Yeah. Yeah. They pull it off and it's like, wait a minute, it's you.
Blake Pallet too says, I just watch serial killer programs. That way you already know who did it.
Yeah.
Like I've been watching this Ted Bundy thing and I can't wait to figure out who the criminal is.
Very funny.
Speaking of sci-fi stuff, Rob, have you seen the what is it? Oh, why can't I think of it right now? The remake of Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, I love it.
Phenomenal.
Great, yeah. I just watched it today. Well, like split it up between yesterday and today. Ex Machina. Have you guys seen that?
I've heard about it. I haven't watched it though.
It's another one of those. Like AI screws you over type thing. Like if movies have taught me anything, and these are the kind of movies that I like, it's that technology and artificial intelligence are never going to be a good thing.
Yeah.
Right. Because
the Terminator didn't teach anything
of humans, and Ex Machina was one of those where it's like it was good. I really liked it, but I mean, it wasn't like. I just think about have you seen those videos on like Facebook or YouTube of like Boston Electronics, or I don't know, like the guys at MIT that are creating these robots that can basically do everything. Like they can they make soldiers because they can climb over any terrain, they can balance themselves, they can do flips, they don't
get tired, they don't get hungry, they don't have to sleep.
Their batteries are going to run out at some point, I guess. I don't know, but and then you've got things like Siri and like Cortana and all these different artificial. I heard this thing where it was basically a phone call where like you can go to Google and you can tell your Google Assistant to make an appointment at a haircut place for you. And so it's the computer that calls the haircut place, and it uses like the human little like, hi, I'd like to make a haircut appointment.
Wow.
And the chick making the appointment, she has no idea that she's talking to a computer. And 10 minutes later, she's made a date with the computer. Stand her up. I mean, but
she shows up at the guy's house, and he's like, "What are you doing here?"
So what happens when they put that intelligence into the robot? That's when everything is just going to fall apart. The whole system. I mean, obviously I'm joking, but only a little bit.
Yeah, I know. When they become, as in Terminator terms, self-aware.
Exactly. I mean, look, this is what all of the filmmakers in my lifetime have been trying to tell us.
Yep.
Is that
James Cameron's been trying to tell us since
let ourselves be human and not worry about like trying to make robots be humans.
Yep. I know. Our phones are all listening to us all the time. You know, I'll be in the middle of a conversation and I'll mention something. Next thing you know, I open up one of my social media platforms.
Yeah.
And there's an ad for what I was just having a conversation about 10 minutes ago. There's an ad for that exact same thing.
It's like, did you mean flashlight?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why that's funny. What?
We all know it's funny.
Yeah.
That's why, Rob, you're in a great business, because if everyone gets a Terminator, they all need to have a kill switch.
That's right.
Yep.
And I have latching kill switches, so they won't just turn immediately back on when you let go of the button.
Now I gotta hold this thing down forever.
Quick, reprogram it. My finger's getting tired.
Yeah. I think that's, speaking of movies and sci-fi and stuff, I think that's one of those movies that the sequel is, in my opinion, better than the original. Even though the original is a borderline horror movie. If you watch Terminator again, like when you that movie's scary, man. But that's one of those rare cases where the sequel is, in my opinion, better than the original. T2, man. T2 is
predictably the third one.
Oh, they screwed it up, man. Yep.
I've never seen any of them.
Oh,
man, I remember when T2 came out, it was like crazy. Like everybody had to go see that movie. And it was, I mean, the effects in it were cutting edge for the time. They still hold up. If you go back and watch it now, they still hold up.
Yeah, they do. Yep. Speaking of Terminator 2, I met at that horror convention I was telling you about in Atlanta. We met Edward Furlong.
Oh, cool.
Yep. And Jeannie, who has a crush on him, wouldn't say hello to him because he was sitting there at his little, table or whatever. And no one was around. He was just sitting there. And I walked up to him. I was like, hey, my wife won't say hello to you, but can you say hello to her? So he was super nice. We BS with him for a couple minutes.
Well, you got to figure if you're someone like that and you're going to a convention like that, I mean, do you think Michelangelo Badio doesn't think he's going to get stopped to have people take pictures with him at NAMM? And it's the whole point, right?
Mm-hmm. I know, but sometimes you just, I'm always of the thought of like, I don't want to bother anybody,
right?
And I'm not a huge like autograph guy, and if I want to talk to somebody, I'm just going to talk to them about dumb stuff.
Right. So you like playing guitar?
Yeah. So you made Terminator 2, huh? How cool was Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like, he doesn't want to hear those questions. Maybe he does, but again for the millionth time.
Well, let's see. Can I just play you back the recording that I made earlier today of the 400th guy that asked me that?
Yeah. So.
Remember when you were in Terminator 2?
Yeah, just stand there and smile at him. And what are peanuts? Just eating some peanuts. Remember when you were in Terminator 2? That was a cool movie. And just stare at him.
Did you make a lot of money on that movie? And he would say, actually, they just paid me scale, and I got no points. But I heard Arnold made a lot of money on that movie.
Oh God.
Mm-hmm.
He was nice, and that was cool.
Mm-hmm. Did you get a picture taken?
No, I don't do all that crap, man. No, because a lot of them are sitting there, and they have a little thing, because they have all like pictures, production photos from like movies and stuff, and most of the stuff they charge for. So I don't want to sit there and BS them for 15 minutes, and they're sitting there waiting for you know, hey, I want to buy an autograph, or I want to pay to have you take a picture with my wife, which is weird. So I just, you know, BS for a minute about whatever, and I get the hell out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Get the hell out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I went to a Star Wars convention about 22 years ago, and it was the first convention I'd ever been to like that, you know. And I think this is before all these guys charged for a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or I got a ticket in advance, and you could go around any table and see whoever, you know.
But now that stuff, like any type of convention like that, is just huge.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
if you talk to the people at, you know, the hotel workers and stuff at NAMM, the restaurant people, they'll tell you like NAMM is probably the second biggest. It used to be the biggest convention at that convention center. Now it's the second, and Comic-Con is the biggest one.
Mm.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day. I was thinking Comic-Con or VidCon. Even
Yeah, VidCon
would be bigger.
Well, the San Diego Comic-Con is huge, right? New York Comic-Con is big, but isn't the San Diego one even bigger?
I think that's WonderCon.
No, there's two Comic-Cons, the San Diego and the New York.
Well, now they do them all over the place. Like there's one that happens in like Salt Lake City. There's one that happens, I don't know, like Boise, Idaho. I don't know. Is anyone from Boise in the chat can confirm or deny?
I don't think anybody at all lives in Boise, Idaho.
No, well, then there wouldn't be a Boise, Idaho.
It's made up.
At least the governor lives there because it's the capital.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't Mr. Potato Head live there?
For sure. He might be the governor for all I know. The whole Potato Head family.
You ever think of putting a kill switch on Mr. Potato Head?
Daily, I think about that.
Excuse me.
I try to think about like, okay, what kind of things besides a guitar can I put a kill switch onto? And there's, you know, there's the typical things like motorcycles and four-wheelers, and then you know, kid toys like Mr. Potato Head,
Mother-in-law,
Candyland.
What about like your light switches and stuff in your house? Have you thought about replacing all those with those?
You know, I haven't done that. I could. I suppose I could. Maybe I should. Maybe that would just make the most sense for me to have kill switches for light switches.
remember the clapper?
Because I have the ones where they change color when you hit them. So, and they're latching. So you press the button, and then it'll be red when it's off and green or blue when it's on. And I could just have those as light switches all over my house.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
God,
that would be annoying. I mean, it'd be cool for like the first couple of them that I do, and then I'd just get tired of installing them. I think I'm not an electrician. I'm pretty good at guitar work. I'm not great at heavy duty house electrician stuff. Although this week I did fix my dryer by just watching a video on YouTube. I love YouTube because I'm an instant expert in 5 minutes on anything.
I'm responding in the chat. I don't know what the hell I was going to say. Where'd Dave go?
Dave's not here.
Getting more peanuts? Yes, that's peanuts.
Did you mean peanuts?
I would think, you know, somebody, if you really get addicted to that sound, you know, that kill switch, that sound you're talking about.
Yeah.
You know, so I could see somebody putting those, you know, on their light switches just to get that sound everywhere they go, you know?
Yeah, that little
or that feeling, because there's got to be a feeling to it when you're doing it.
There is. There absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's the most responsive. Like, it's the most responsive isn't the word I'm looking for. Basically, it's the one that feeds back the most to you. You know, like when you touch it, it's like you're making something happen, and it's responding to you, telling you, hey, thank you for making this happen. Here's this satisfying click that I'm giving to you in return.
Well, I definitely don't want that right now, because Ellie is at that age or whatever where all she does is walk around turning on every single light in the house.
No, you do want it, because what you do, and I'll just send you one, and you can just give it to her, and she just go click, 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 click all day long.
No, it's so annoying, man. Like 2 in the afternoon, and I'll be in the kitchen. And I'll look around. I'm like, every damn light in the house is on right now. And then I'll go over and like I'll have to like sneak over and start turning off light switches, because if she sees me turn a light off, she's like, daddy. And she goes and turns it back on. I'm like, if you only knew, if you only had to pay for the electrical bill, you know?
Right.
God, so annoying. And the dining room light is one of those ones that it isn't like a normal light switch. It clicks. Like it has the, you know, it's concaved or whatever, where you tap it up, it clicks, you tap it down.
Yeah. I have a couple of those in my house.
She loves just tap, 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 tap. Sorry. I had to vent. I had to get that out of my system.
No, I'm with you. You and me, I'm with you. Totally understand.
Electric Bill Brothers.
That's right. My wife says, hey, do you have any reason why the electric bill's $20 higher this month? Well, yeah, because nobody turns the lights off in my house.
Yep.
I do know why. Thank you for bringing that up.
What kind of nuts are you eating, Dave?
These.
Big.
They're not nuts.
Balls.
They are Cheerios.
Those are Honey Nut Cheerios.
They are.
He's in church and he's 6.
I love Cheerios.
Cheerio.
But I was coughing earlier. That's why I left. And I had a Cheerio stuck in my throat as I was coughing. So therefore, I was choking to death.
And of course, being a human being, what do we do after we choke on something? We eat it again.
Well, I'm not putting like 100 of them in my mouth at one time like I was before. I'm putting 1 or 2 in my mouth this time.
1 or 2 bowls.
Mm-hmm. And if you're just tuning in, he was talking about Cheerios. Wow.
Well, this is a fun time. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm having a blast with you guys. Can't believe it's finally Friday.
Whoa. I know.
I think you should come on every Friday, Rob.
Okay.
We should have our own Tesi Switch part of the program.
Program. Did you say program?
Program.
Because that means you're like instantly old if you say program.
And Robot. And
Robot.
Whippersnappers.
And Robert instead of Robert.
Yeah.
Robert. Hey, Robert. Toilet instead of toilet.
You know, maybe you're more of like a Staten Islander instead of like old, you know.
No, thank you. I'd rather be old.
Staten Islanders? What do they call people from Staten Island?
Dave just said I'd rather be old than be from Staten Island.
That's why the Statue of Liberty's ass faces that way.
The giant copper fart. Out came a giant copper fart, and Staten Island was born.
Wow.
Staten Island is where they keep the salt for the plows, for the roads, for the winter. But it's there all year long. So, you know, they just have a salt supply, I guess.
Mm.
So now you have some really boring trivia that you can bring up at a party when you want people to stop talking.
Yeah, when someone says, you know, I built the first ever, you know, I don't know what the hell. And you can top that with, oh yeah, you go to dinner with an astronaut. You know, well, I went to the moon. Well, hey, did you know that they keep all the salt for all the winter storms in Staten Island?
For the whole country.
Well, for Manhattan anyway, right? So
yeah.
Terrible.
And there, Bozique says Staten Island is all Italians originally from Brooklyn. No, Staten Island, while you will find a number of Italians on Staten Island, you will also find a lot of Polish immigrants on Staten Island.
Todd Soda Pop, thank you. He's saying nice shirt. And yes, I did hear that they will be filming or beginning filming Bill and Ted's 3. I think maybe in April or something. Somebody mentioned it earlier. So
is that the one where Ted Theodore Logan has to fight Agent Smith and free all the
He fights Adrian Smith?
Adrian Smith. And it's 3 versions of his guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, supposedly, like, the premise of the movie is they're older, they have kids, they're still married or whatever, but they never wrote that song that, you know, saved you know, the world or made everybody like each other. So they still have to write that song.
Wait, I thought Kiss did that.
Yeah, it's called God Gave Rock and Roll to You.
Yeah, that's it.
With Steve Vai doing the intro.
Solo, yeah. It was amazing.
It really is. It really is.
So
I remember all the headlines at the very end of Bogus Journey. Bill and Ted play, what is it? Play the moon or play Mars or something?
Yeah, I think it was the moon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Still waiting for that. Still waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
But, you know, as long as they're still married to medieval princesses, then
Wonder what they look like now.
nah,
I think they're going to be I think they're going to be in it.
recast.
No, I think the rumor came out that they were still going to be in it. So
What about why can't I remember the guy's name? Rufus.
supposedly they're going to have a
Isn't he dead?
yeah, they're going to have a tribute to him in the movie. Which they have to, you know.
Yeah, there has to be something.
Yep.
They'll have some sort of a stand-in guy in a computer tracking suit, and then they'll just, you know, kind of the way they did with
Princess Leia.
Yeah, Princess Leia with oh man, that was creepy. That Princess Leia in Rogue One was not good. But
It was weird. Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Is it Michael? No, it's Kurt Russell in you know, the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, like the young Kurt Russell in the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Or in the Tron.
Yes,
the Tron movie.
The young
the young dude.
The young dude.
Whatever his name is.
It was
yeah.
The dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff the dude, not Goldblum.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm getting word right now, gentlemen. John BL, our producer, says pre-production of Face the Music was started in May of 2018 with both Reeves and Winter confirmed to return to reprise their roles. He also says, what's that? Okay. Production Weekly listed production on Face the Music as slated to start on March 5th of that year, whatever that year is. So thanks, John.
Wow. You look like you were reading that, though.
Oh, well. Tough.
I don't even see it.
Read harder.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, which is pretty cool of Keanu Reeves to go back and want to be Ted Theodore Logan again, because, you know, I can see it, like, of all the actors in the world having to go back and do a schmaltz piece like that, like tongue-in-cheek comedy that frankly was like B level at best to begin. Great movie, don't get me wrong, but like
one thing I always noticed
quality. It's not like it wasn't like an A-list blockbuster film, and for him to go back and do that is pretty cool. I think
it really is cool. But the one thing I always noticed, and I love both movies, but Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure to me is just pure and funny and just great all around. Bogus Journey is a lot different, a little darker. At the same time, it's weird though, because it's almost like Keanu Reeves trying to be Ted, trying to be Keanu Reeves, trying to be Ted. It's weird. It's like an Excellent Adventure. He's great as Ted, but for some reason, like Bogus Journey, it's weird. It's like almost like feels forced. And I just hope that, you know, now that they're older in this one, he doesn't like overdo it. You know, that's the one thing I'm worried about, is like just overdoing those characters too much, you know, because there's a fine line in a lot of those movies when somebody has to act like somebody else that they're not used to, where it can come off kind of, you know, not genuine.
Well, think about basically every character that we've known him as since then, whether it's, you know, from The Matrix or Constantine or John Wick or, you know, like keep going. But it's to me, it's kind of almost like the same guy every time, which I don't have a problem with because I love that character. But
Johnny Mnemonic, remember that one?
Johnny Mnemonic was a great. I mean, talk about like the cheesy like sci-fi movie, like a terrible movie, but it was a great movie. It's one of the first DVDs I ever bought.
Johnny Mnemonic.
You're writing. You're going to go find it on Netflix, right?
No, I just got a text. I got to.
What about the movie where he was a surfer? What was that?
Oh, Point Break. I am an FBI agent. Remember that line? It's like, oh God.
Speed, right? He was in Speed.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Sweet November with what's her name?
Oh yeah, what was that chick?
Oh, Charlize Theron.
Wasn't she Tank Girl as well? Or no, was that somebody else? Blank Palette says someone acting like someone else is called acting. But when you're trying to act like somebody you already played, that's what I'm saying. Like he was acting like it was just weird. That's all I'm saying.
Like he wasn't acting hard enough, or he was acting too hard. But either way, he was acting just the right amount to where you believe that was actually the character.
Yes.
Basically, what Jay's saying is he did not have the like the spark of what the first movie was. He just didn't have the same whatever was in the first movie. It didn't come off the same.
Exactly.
Well, I think that the first movie there was a little bit of angst in there. I'm talking from not from the actor's perspective, but from the character's perspective. The newness and the disappointment that this girl that he had a crush on in high school was now his mom. And by the second movie, that had worn off, and he just kind of accepted it.
It was Bill's mom in the first one. It's your mom, dude.
Oh, yes. Sorry. I mean,
remember when she was senior and we were freshmen? Shut up, Ted.
That's right. Okay, sorry. I need to go back and review it, apparently.
And the second one, Missy had left Bill's dad and then married Ted's dad.
Okay, so that was it. That was the conflict that there was the unseen conflict that Ted was going through that manifested itself on screen without having been explained. It was probably in a deleted scene.
Probably. It probably was. And back then, you know, a lot of that stuff, you know, they didn't keep, like the cutting room floor stuff, that got deleted because, you know, tape was so expensive that they recorded over all that crap, you know?
Yeah. They just splice all the old stuff together and re-film over it. Refilm over the negatives.
I mean, if you think of the differences between like modern day comedies or any kind of movie for that matter, and then back, you know, 80s and earlier, I mean, nowadays, if you don't get like a 20-minute or 15-minute, you know, what are they called? Not a goof reel. What the hell are they called?
the gag reel.
Yeah. If you don't get one of those, you're almost disappointed.
Bloopers.
Blooper reel.
Blooper reel.
I love the blooper reel.
I love blooper reels too, but imagine if like remember like Dave, me and you were Three Stooges fans. Imagine if they still had the Three Stooges cuts that, you know, the deleted scenes or whatever. Imagine if they had that stuff nowadays, they can go back and, oh, that would be a gold mine, man.
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
It'd be just like all the old Jimi Hendrix tunes that just got released a few years ago. Or I guess there's going to be a new Prince album, right?
Oh, I'm sure he's probably rolling around his grave. Those guys don't want that stuff out.
No,
Prince was such a perfectionist.
They could have done it, right?
Yeah, Prince was such a perfectionist. If you know, man, stuff that he didn't finish, he'd probably be pissed. Like, don't release that. I'm not done with it yet.
Yeah. Well, look at the bright side. You know, no matter what we've done in our lives, it's all public domain after we die. It's not public domain, but if there's something free to be made from it, somebody's gonna make it.
Yeah, you just have to hope that. That's why I think Eddie's in good hands. You know, when he passes eventually, hopefully not anytime soon. I think Wolfgang is gonna look after everything that Eddie didn't want out. He's not gonna touch it. He's not gonna put it out. You know?
Well, you never know, but you know, at least it's not like some of these families, like the Hendrix family was like really widely scattered about, and there was a lot of controversy amongst the members and stepmothers and step siblings and like different people who thought they owned the name and were trying to do different things with it.
Yeah.
A lot of court cases, and with Prince, you know, people started coming out of the woodwork after he died, like, oh, well, I'm his cousin and I should have a piece of this. Well, I'm a sister. Well, prove that you're a sister. Well, I can't, but I totally am.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, that I think with Eddie, I mean, yeah, I think with anybody that's famous, there's going to be that, you know, they call it coming out of the woodwork, right? The crazies come out of the woodwork, and there's going to be some claims, but
yeah,
but as a general rule, and I think that I mean, I don't know if like Van Halen as a band had this, but I know that like David Lee Roth had everybody in the band sign non-disclosure agreements, basically for the, you know, in perpetuity, not to talk about the tours and not to talk about just the vast majority of the goings on. And maybe it's just because, you know, it was so crazy that it might be incriminating, and maybe it's just because it's not anybody's business. Who knows?
yeah.
But you know, does that mean that when these guys pass, is there something that can be put into a will that keeps a lock on the vault, if you will? Yeah, who knows? And then how enforceable is it? You know, once the subject has passed, and now, you know, the owner of the likeness and of the material and of the stories is, you know, a child or a sibling.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know. Speaking of Roth, a couple nights ago, I was listening to somebody made, I guess, a compilation of. Remember when he had his Roth radio?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like 2007, I think it was. Which actually I enjoyed. I thought it was good, but then again, you know, I'm a Van Halen / David Lee Roth fan, so of course, you know, I find it interesting, all that stuff. But he had mentioned when he's talking about Van Halen, and he had mentioned when they did the, you know, Can't Get That Stuff No More and Me Wise Magic. He said, I'm trying to think how many songs he had mentioned. He said there was like 6 other songs that they did at that same time period that he said were just off the charts amazing. And that he was saying, I would love to come in here and play these songs, you know, but he's like, I can't. And it just sucks that we, to this day, even though Roth is back in the band now, that we still can't hear those songs. You know, that sucks.
Well, how do you know they weren't on a different kind of truth?
I mean, that's a good point, but he had made it so he had made it seem like they were new songs. They weren't like old rehashed.
Yeah, but there's a few new songs on Different Kind of Truth.
That is a good point. But I mean, not in that. Like obviously, they probably re-recorded all this stuff. Maybe not his vocal, just whatever. But
yeah, they would have re-recorded the vocals because his voice quality has changed drastically from, you know, that, what was it, like 96 or whenever that stuff came out to now, or to, you know, 2014 or whenever.
But Johnny had found, I remember he put out a video about this when they had a sample, like 30 seconds of one of the songs. And he'll tell you, go back on the channel, you know, 2012 or whatever.
I'm here. Yeah.
There's a or something, a DLR scream or something that is from an early Van Halen album.
That was they took it from Running with the Devil. They took it from that soundboard or whatever that thing is. And they placed it into one of the songs. Actually, there's probably like two or three songs on that record, which wasn't yesterday the anniversary of the record.
Yeah,
like
probably should have mentioned that.
7 years or something. Yeah, and I had noticed it when it was just a preview on iTunes before the album even came out, and I made a video on it, just basically pointing it out, thinking, "Oh, this is kind of cool," and I got so much hate from that. People were right on me for that, saying, "No, that's not old. That's not old."
But it is.
It's
the exact same. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the same, yeah.
How dare you point that out, Johnny? What is wrong with you?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there are a lot of stuff like that in the new. Well, I don't want to say new album. Now it's like you just said, 7 years old, which is that blows my mind.
Newest album.
Yeah, but it still blows my mind. Like, that's 7 years ago already. Holy crap!
Actually, it isn't the newest album. The Live in Tokyo is the newest album.
Well, studio album. But I mean, there are some woos and screams in there that they're not modern Roth. I mean, they're definitely older,
Mm-hmm. And they have them mixed in, like tucked in, where they're not as loud as the main vocal.
Yeah.
It's like the techno remix.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I mean, and there's an interview with Michael Anthony that I read. I forget what year it was from, but he had mentioned the same thing. He said when they got Roth back in the band, they recorded a bunch of songs and said they were awesome. So I would love to hear those versions of whatever songs they are, whether they're on A Different Kind of Truth or parts of them are or whatever. But I would still love to hear those versions that Roth and Michael Anthony are referring to.
Because those tunes on that record were really good. Just real. I thought that, that was exactly what Van Halen fans wanted at the time. That like what everybody thought was the impossible, reemergence was happening, at least for two songs. I mean, I remember being so greedy to hear those songs. I was so excited when I finally heard them and heard it on the radio, and and everybody said, "Oh man, Eddie's playing is back." Because like I think the popular consensus was that while if you want to say like as a pop song, like the Sammy Hagar stuff was great pop tunes, but as rock songs, the playing had mellowed out a lot with Sammy than what he was doing, like the raw stuff with.
Yeah, like
I don't agree with that. I mean, maybe it wasn't as heavy, but I don't agree with technicality wise. I mean, those songs are still.
No, I disagree with you, Jay. When It's Love, great song.
Well, that's one song you're talking about.
But I'm talking about a lot of those songs in that genre. Great song, but Can't Get This Stuff. Great song. Great guitar playing. It's just a different animal.
You're comparing a keyboard-driven song to a guitar-driven song. That's not fair.
Okay, so what about I don't know why I can't think of the name of the song, but
Black and Blue. Black and Blue is one of the I love the song. One of the boringest Van Halen songs on the planet. I love the song, though. I'm not saying it sucks. I love the song.
Well, it's not a very difficult song to play because I remember when I got the tab book when I was younger, that's one of the first ones I dove into because
it was easy to play.
It was easy to play.
Yeah, I know that, but you put that against Can't Get This Stuff No More or Me Wise Magic, and it's going to lose every time to those songs. It's just, you know.
Well, even going back further though to the Ross, like look at "Ain't Talking About Love." It's like everybody's first Van Halen song that they ever learned. It's not hard to play, and it's not the same as, you know. I mean, even the guitar, like the really heavier guitar driven stuff from For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, like you know, like Pound Cake or just any of those. It's not the same.
Well, Pound Cake.
I gotta give it props because.
But there are some songs on Carnal Knowledge that when you listen to them, like, man, yeah, the basics might be easy, but he's doing a lot of extra stuff in there that's just
no question. But I just think the overall. I mean, I'm not saying it's one of my favorite albums. I'm not saying that the album.
Isn't it funny? We're arguing over two generations of a band that we all love. It's like,
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, Van Halen, no matter what song it is, it's great, except for that keyboard song on 3. What's that one that Eddie sings?
oh God,
The record that Johnny loves, but I can't stand it.
I don't like that album, but we already
Name me
know
2 songs off of that record.
Huh?
The Year to the Day is a great song, and Fire in the Hole, great song. Those 2 songs,
Great, You Win.
Without You, I love those. I love that record. I just don't like the last song. How many say I is the name of the song. It's got the worst garbage I've ever heard in my life. How many say I? How many say I that song sucks?
yeah,
You guys remember there was an interview when Gary Cherone joined the band, and Eddie Van Halen says, if I ever need another singer in my band, I might as well just give up and play the effing tuba. And it lasted 1 record, and I still haven't seen an Eddie Van Halen tuba record. So,
Rob, you know what's funny is I've always been an Extreme fan. I love Extreme.
yeah, me too.
And I remember the day that I found out, heard on the radio, that Gary Cherone was the new Van Halen singer. And what was 98? So I was 21 years old. And I knew the second I heard that news that it wasn't going to work. You know, not that I'm just some, you know, music, you know, whatever, but I just know that hearing his voice in Extreme for all those years, just that it wasn't going to mix well in Van Halen. And, you know, some people like it. The second I heard it, I was like, it just doesn't, in my opinion, to my ears.
Well, I'll tell you why it wouldn't work. Because Gary Cherone is he's synonymous with very rhythmic, very, you know, hip music, hip rock and roll. It's like hip, you know, it's like it's almost
like pop funk rock,
almost rap like. Not that rap is hip, but it's got that
same kind of rhythm
it's very rhythmic. It's very, you know, new rock and roll, for lack of better words. And Van Halen is drunken 70s party rock.
Well, let me pitch another reason why it didn't work. And I mean, it's not because there wasn't a tremendous amount of talent, but if you think about, because I went back and I revisited Van Halen 3 not too long ago, and I was trying to figure out why really it wasn't. I didn't think the songs were super great, like just the writing as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you listen to how Gary Cherone was singing on that record, and then how he sings, you know, just how he sings, his vocal quality, the timbre of his voice, his range is really similar to Sammy Hagar.
Mm-hmm.
It's distinct enough, but it's like, okay, here's a guy who's not Sammy Hagar, which for my money is one of the best singers in rock and roll, just as far as like professionalism, like vocal lines, his ability to just, you know, be consistently good. And Gary Cherone, same thing, but they're so similar that it was really hard to hear what is essentially like, it wasn't like going from David Lee Roth to Sammy Hagar, where, okay, now it's not David Lee Roth, it's Sammy Hagar, but now it's not Sammy Hagar, but it's not, you know, but it kind of is, but it's not. And I don't know. I can't say because I don't know. I wasn't there, but maybe there were some substance issues that may have affected the ability to put songs together. I don't know.
Well, I do know that. I mean, I watched a some videos on when Extreme was on the road on the second album, Winter Graffiti, and Nuno was writing the third album on the road, and he was writing all the vocal lines too. He was bringing Gary in backstage saying, okay, and he was playing the song, and then he was humming and singing the melodies for the vocals. So to me, I was like, oh, well, Nuno is writing all of the vocal melodies. So in my opinion, if I could turn back time, my dream situation would have been like, okay, Nuno, you produce Gary's vocals on Van Halen 3. And in my opinion, that's the only way like anything would have worked.
It would have been very hard to do that, and I'll tell you why. The songs, although I love the songs, no matter what it is, I'm going to be a fan of Eddie Van Halen and his writing and his songs. But if you listen to the songs, a lot of them are disjointed.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them have parts in them that don't necessarily go with the rest of the song.
I agree with you 100%.
And some of them, the guitars are out of tune, blatantly out of tune on that record. So I can understand how it would be very hard for Gary to sing over that record. It's just hard to put vocals on songs that are disjointed.
Which is strange because, you know, Rob, you talk about, you know, Roth to Sammy. And even a lot of Roth era fans that don't like Sammy Hagar, they listen to Sammy era Van Halen and they notice the songwriting, as far as just strict songwriting, the improvement over the Roth era, meaning just like how structured and just where the songs go.
Maturity level, right?
Yeah, the maturity level of Eddie's writing, in my opinion, improved. And whether you like it more than the Roth, whatever, that's whatever. But it's just crazy when Dave talks about, you know, you go from the Sammy stuff to Van Halen 3, and like he says, the songs are disjointed and they don't sound like they really go together. And it's just strange, you know. Really is. God, we can talk about Van Halen all effing day, and it's fun.
Yeah. It does not get old.
Yeah.
And it's still one of those bands, man. I was driving to Walmart the other night, and I had Carnal Knowledge on, driving to Walmart. And on the way back, Balance started. And, you know, once the boom, you know, the big drums kick in, and I'm like, you know, I've listened to that album since '95, since it came out, and it's still, you know, Van Halen's one of those bands, man. You just hear it, and no matter what it is, and no matter how many times you've heard it, it's still like just, it kicks you in the ass, man.
Speaking of Van Halen, how cool is this guitar?
Does it have the puke on it, like the?
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't have any puke. Like, well, you could change that. Just choke on another Cheerio.
Yeah,
Did you watch Dweezil?
Yes.
That was pretty cool, right?
Yes. Did you see the whole 7-minute interview?
Yep. Yeah, Dweezil's a cool dude, man. I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, this is a great guitar. 2-inch thick body.
Now, how heavy is that one? Because Dweezil had mentioned
that was
like 14 pounds or something.
This one's about 8 pounds. And it is mahogany, just like the original one. It just happens to be a lighter piece of mahogany.
Mm-hmm. And was that one the Circles guitar before you painted it?
Yes, it was. And you can actually see the circles and everything if you look at it.
Can you see the "See You Later"?
Yep, you can. Yep. You probably can't right now, but you can.
That's awesome.
Look at it.
That's cool. So when did you do that?
I didn't do this. A guy by the name of Jerry Leica, who's a buddy of mine and Rob Johnson's.
Johnson.
He did this guitar, and then he needed some money, and he contacted me and said, "Are you interested in buying my roster?" I said, "Absolutely." Now I don't have to make one. Because these, you know, the exact colors, this is the exact colors of the guitar. Everything on this is exactly the way the original is. even down to the pickup, and I just didn't want to be bothered putting it all together and doing it.
I mean, that's to replica the Circles guitar in order to replica the Rasta guitar is a labor of love from beginning to end. I mean, that's
absolutely, and that's what was done on this.
That's nuts.
Made that exact. The only thing I don't have exact is on the original one. It would have the Godot crown head tuners, and I actually just ordered a set of those, and I'll have them on probably on Monday when they come in.
Nice, that's cool.
But these are Shallers, and I'll take these off and put the right ones on.
And one of the things they asked Dweezil, for those of you who didn't watch the interview or whatever, is supposedly the story is the neck that's on the Rasta is the original neck that was on the Bumblebee. I
don't think it is.
You don't think it is? Okay.
No, I'll tell you why. Because there's a mark on the headstock when you without the paint on it. There's a big mark right in here, like it's not dirt. It looks like it was a burn mark, but not from a cigarette. But it was a big burn mark. And I've seen like a soldering iron, like something like that. And it's I've seen that guitar before the headstock was painted, and it's the same neck as the one that was on it before, and it didn't have that mark on it. So it's not that neck, but that neck may have been on the Frankenstein back in 80 or 81, but certainly not the black and yellow. But if it was on Frankenstein, to me, that would make it cooler anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, that goes back to Eddie doing so much of his own work, right?
Yeah.
I remember this is going back, this is probably 91, and it was Guitar World magazine. When Guitar World was really still pretty fresh. And Eddie was on the cover with 3 guitars, and like one of them was like it might have been Frankenstein. Now I can't remember. I think I still have the magazine somewhere.
Under your mattress.
Oh yeah, the Frankenstein, the old,
of course,
the old airliner, and the old those 2 old guitars. Yeah, I've seen that guitar.
Yes. And the guy that was doing the interview, he talked about pulling up to Eddie's house, and he pulls up to the house, and then they get into his truck to drive over, like down the driveway or whatever where the studio is, and he has that Steinberger, and he just tosses it in the back, like no case or nothing. And the interviewer says, "Man, it's crazy. Why do you, like you're not going to put it in a case? Like, what if you scratch it up?" And Ed goes, "Why do I care as long as it's functional?"
Jesus.
I remember that one, yeah.
Right, and it just goes back to him being, so hands-on with his instruments. I mean, I've seen pictures of him developing his pickups at the Seymour Duncan place. Just like getting really, really hands-on. In fact, so this is kind of a fun photo that I've got from a few years ago. You see that? Let's see what guitar that is.
Oh yeah, sure.
That was at Fender's office in Scottsdale, and this was before they had launched the. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to. There's the amplifier.
There you go.
That was the lunchbox before they launched it.
Oh wow!
And that Star guitar on the back of it, the back of the headstock. Can you see it? Oh.
Lift it up a little.
Yeah, approved, blah, blah, blah by Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. So they said, well, we need to ship this off. Do you want to play it? And I said, oh, where are you shipping it to? They're like, well, we got to send it back to Eddie. I'm like, yeah, let me just wail on this for a minute.
Let me sweat on.
Wow. I wonder if that was the one they had at NAMM as well.
I don't know. I don't think the approved prototypes go to NAMM. I think they get like pre-production models, but I don't think the approved prototypes go to NAMM.
Actually, they do.
A
lot of them say approved by Eddie Van Halen on them. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then.
Right. But they're not prototypes. They're like they approved like the first one that he approves. That's the production one.
So this was, yeah. So I can't remember. Was this?
Well, he gets every like serial number 1 or whatever of each production model, correct?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can't answer that either. I would imagine 1 or 2.
Yeah.
He may get 1 and 2 or as many as he wants, but you know.
Blackie DH mentions about the Rasta guitar in the neck. He says Dweezil said I'll have to call Ed and verify about the neck. Now, I'm sure Eddie will tell Dweezil, but I'm sure Eddie might also say, keep this between me and you. You know, like I don't, you know. Eddie doesn't want
Eddie probably don't remember. He probably really won't remember.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
I mean, every when he had those guitars, I mean, he might have switched around necks all the time just to see, like, hey, does this sound better than this? So,
Rob, I think we played the same guitar. Is this is this the back of I took this at NAMM. Is this the back? Is this the back of that headstock?
What's the what's the date? I
right
can't.
There?
What's the date on yours?
It's
6/18/14.
Same guitar.
And it has a part that he like scribbled out. Do you see like a scribble mark?
Yeah. That's the one thing I noticed on Rob's. Yeah, when he showed the picture the first time, it was like scribbled in an area.
I got the scribble mark too. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we played the same one.
I think that scribble mark is because the pen's pretty big. I think that's his signature. I don't know. Maybe not. I know it's hard to tell, but yeah,
well, he put EVH approved at the very top, like that.
Yeah,
and then he usually does sign them, but
this is crazy. This is crazy. I can't believe it. We got the same photo. That's awesome.
It is, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
Photo brother.
Wait, who played it first?
Oh, what's the date? When did you play it? I played it January 22nd, 2015.
Okay, wait. Let me see if I can figure out details. March 18th, 2015 is the date on this, but this may have come from another phone, so I don't know.
1987, I played.
Well, you played it in 2015. I played it in 2009.
Yeah. It wasn't even made yet, but I played it. I played it before it was made.
I actually built it from a tree.
I'm the one who signed it, you know. Eddie didn't sign it. I signed it.
I signed it. I'm Eddie Van Halen. A lot of people don't know that about me.
Oh man!
Wow. I'm like the world's best prosthetics.
That could be a signature in the middle there, but it just looks like a scribble.
I was 4 years old, you guys.
Uh huh.
I mean, I think because how else is he going to put his signature on there in that tiny little space with that huge ass pen?
Yeah.
Let me see. Yeah. Wait, I've got his autograph right here. I've got the Different Kind of Truth album framed with what he signed to Johnny. And yeah, the end of that scribble does look like. Okay, yeah, Jay, yeah. That end of that scribble does look like the end of his signature, like the very end of it. I think that is his signature, but it's just so small.
Well, it's definitely scribbled over.
Look. Maybe he tried signing and then just scribbled it out.
Screwed it up. He's like, ah, crap.
And then put the initials EVH at the top.
Yeah,
maybe.
Isn't it? See, that's how weird we are now. It's like we go from like analyzing his guitars, and now we're analyzing like what he thought and what if he scribbled out his own name because he messed it up.
Yeah, he misspelled his name, so he scribbled it out.
We're such dorks.
Oh, my name's not Edie, it's Eddie.
Can you imagine? Eddie Van. Oh fuck.
Oh, there's the F-bomb, John.
Yeah. There's the picture of me holding that guitar right there.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a great feeling guitar?
Yeah.
I felt like that Shark guitar was super smooth too. I didn't like the presentation at NAMM just because like that amp was, you know, I mean, they got to control the volume, and those amps really kind of tend to breathe more when the master volume's turned up. But I thought that guitar was just, it was just slick, just a slick guitar. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, it was cool. It was those models. I think they get better and better. You know, every one they put out. You know, that the neck on that one on the Star was my favorite, and then now the neck on the 5150 is my favorite. Oh, now the neck on the Shark is my favorite. You know,
The Shock, the Shock guitar.
they just get better.
I got a split, boys.
Yeah. Oh, we're running. Yeah, it's already. Wow.
This was a great time tonight, Rob. Awesome, man.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Sorry I didn't make it to the other 3 shows today.
Rob, before we let you split, if anybody wants to purchase a kill switch for their guitar or their light switch or their mother-in-law, how can they do it?
The mother-in-law kill switches are at baseballbats.com. But you didn't hear that from me. Don't use a referral code or anything. Just the website is Tesi Switch, TESISWITCH.com. I've got an enormous selection of switches. I've got a bunch of different knobs, Strat knobs, metal dome knobs. I've got jacks. I've got kind of every accessory that you could think of that you might want. Different parts for the guitar, and I try to keep everything in stock. I fill all the orders myself. It's a small company, and it's like a one-man operation. So I also do. What's that?
Do you have green Ibanez knobs, like green or pink Ibanez knobs and pink?
Yeah. Do you want freaking black ink or white ink on the green knob? Yes, I have them.
Cool. Very cool.
Send me some photos. I got pink. I've got pink with no ink. You know, my favorite thing is the knobs with no ink because they just look slick. So that's on here.
Up higher. There you go.
Tone knob, no ink.
Look at that. That's cool. How do you do that?
Yeah, I do like that.
Trade secret, but
no ink.
Oh, I know how it is. It's white out.
It's
white paint pen.
And then I use a black paint pen for the black ones, and I use a pink paint pen for the pink ones, and I use a.
Are you serious or
no? There's just no ink on them.
Oh, that's cool.
There's just no ink.
Very cool.
Yeah, that would look cooler than the.
Yeah, but TesiSwitch.com. I got them. If your order's $10 or more, I pay for the shipping, and I mean, I turn things around really fast. So you can look at my feedback on eBay and Reverb. I mean, if you like buying stuff that way, it doesn't matter. It all comes to me anyway. But
I'll have to agree with him. I've bought a few kill switches from him, and I've gotten them in 2 days.
Wow.
Sometimes one day.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't mess around. I like people to get their stuff fast, and then I do personal kind of tech support for people who have questions. I'll do video chats to help people kind of troubleshoot problems in installation, and I've done like custom wiring diagrams for people, and yeah, I mean, I like to be the guy that people want to do business with. So I make it easy and fun, and try to have a cool product. And
well, you definitely do.
There's A64 T-Bird had a question. I guess I didn't answer. I'm trying to find it now.
Something about Buckethead, right?
Yeah.
Extra crispy chicken. That's the answer.
Extra crispy chicken? Sure. Did Eddie Van Halen copy Buckethead? The answer is no. Let's see. Is that? Yeah, Buckethead came way after Eddie. Eddie did a kill switch like effect on like the end of the solo of You Really Got Me.
Really got me, yeah.
And he used just a 3-way toggle switch. On a Les Paul, it's really easy to get that effect. You just turn the neck pickup down, and then you just flip your toggle from the bridge to the middle or the neck position, and it works. Which is fine. The problem is that you can blow out if you do it a lot, you'll blow out your toggle switch, you'll bust the bat off of it. And same with any of the toggle switches, like any of the mini toggles, the bats aren't made to be cranked back and forth like as hard as you can a whole bunch of times. But if you have a push button, they last forever. That's how I started getting into this, was that I was talking to a guitar tech in Hollywood who said the kids from Musicians Institute keep coming in to have their kill switches replaced because they're, the only ones we can get are these little mini toggle switches, and they keep busting after like 6 months. And I thought, there's got to be a better way to do that. And so I did.
Here you go.
And then,
do you ship international? Pal Guitars is asking.
Yes, I ship. Last year, I shipped to 47 different countries.
Wow. Some people don't even know that there are more than 47 different countries.
It's funny because there are a lot. The only continent I didn't ship to last year was Africa. So if anybody's watching from Africa, place an order. So
order one.
Africa.
Antarctica.
It's Africa.
I didn't ship to Africa or Antarctica. But I shipped to every state. I shipped to so many, all over Europe, Russia, Eastern Bloc European countries, Japan, Singapore, Australia. Yes, I ship everywhere.
There you go.
Awesome. All right. We're good?
We're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, great to see you again, man. And thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
I think you were our first guest, weren't you?
I mean, I
think you were our first guest.
Tonight, I'm definitely your first guest.
First guest of the day.
All right, Dave Nesdahl, always good.
Always good.
Jay Hannon.
Live long and perspire.
Always good.
Good to see you guys. Rob, Tesi Switch. Great to see you, man.
I'm trying to do a heart. Is this a heart?
Yep, perfect heart.
There you go.
Perfect heart.
Perfect.
This is what they do in
perfect
China. It's this little guy.
For China.
Whoa.
For China.
All right, we're out of here. Thank you, Sean Zimmerman, Pris 46. Everybody, subscribe if you're brand new. Rob, you got a channel too. Subscribe to Rob's channel.
Everybody order a kill switch. Everybody in the chat right now, order one.
Everyone. I'm gonna just type in the chat real quick. Everyone order a switch. I love you. Oh
no!
And discount code Johnny Beane. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
Okay, so you can wait a minute. Hey, you know what? I'll tell you what. Use it and see what you get.
Not a bad idea.
I'm gonna set up a Johnny Beane discount code.
Awesome.
And all you guys that use it, I'll give you 15% off.
3 cents.
Look at that.
3 cents off.
Give you 3 whole American pennies off of your order. Over $100.
That's right. And half a penny on shipping.
So. Yeah, or a hay penny, as it might be known in some medieval times.
Or a case quarter.
Yeah, a pence.
All right, we're out of here.
So sorry, you can say goodbye in 2 seconds. That discount code, John Beane, will be active in 10 minutes.
Johnny, did you ever think it'd be a discount code?
Yeah.
I always thought he'd be on the discount rack.
Uh-huh. Well, you know, after tonight.
Oh,
Wait, where did they put your CDR that you recorded yourself and put in the CD store?
It was
Right?
it was in the regular rack.
That was the story from last week.
Yeah, it was in the regular rack underneath the band. I won't say the band name, but it started with an F, and it was under the F section.
That's what I call it too, the F section.
Yeah.
Good night.
Okay.
All right. See you guys later. Johnny Beane TV. Bye.